Hey everyone, back again, episode 11, All for One Golf Podcast. We've got Brian McCurdy
What's up, everybody?
and myself, Sean Painter. We're hanging out for another one. We've got two members of the Seattle chapter joining us. They're going to talk to us about everything Seattle related. We got Mad Scramble coming up on the 7th of September. We're very excited about that. So we'll invite them in. We'll chat a little bit. We'll have some fun.
Yeah. Where are you playing at? Tell the good people where the Mad Scramble in Seattle is.
Oh, it's just this little muni. I heard it's like called Chambers Bay or something.
Oh. I think I've heard about that. Didn't they play a US Open there?
They did play a US Open there. And it was one of the most controversial US Opens in history. But you know what? I don't care. I loved it. Yeah. I like it when it was interesting and it made it. I don't know if it was unfair. I don't know what makes it unfair. People finish under par. I think it's plenty fair.
If everybody's playing the exact same golf course, I wouldn't understand how it could be unfair or not.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Now I love watching US Opens and Opens where it's a challenge and those guys are struggling and somebody's winning at 4, 5, 6 under. That's so much more exciting to watch than 25, 26. I mean, like this year's PGA, Valhalla, that was kind of a joke. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of fun to watch a bunch of birdies drop, but I'd much rather watch carnage like we had at Pinehurst this year.
Yeah, you can get those minus 20, 25 rounds pretty much anywhere. Any tournament that the PGA hosts throughout the year, except for the Memorial. Otherwise,
it's just the same thing every week. You know what I was thinking about today is now that the PGA season is over, Scotty rightfully won. Just what could they do between now and the start of the season in January where they could just do some fun, interesting, differently formatted golf tournaments just for it to not be the same basic thing week in and week out and week in and week out.
Yeah, I like a little variety, and Pinehurst was the best one that I've seen in quite a while.
Yeah.
I love watching tournaments like that where guys have to, be creative to make their shots and to earn their scores.
Well, they canned the Dell match play this year too now. That's gone. And that was such a fun, different tournament to watch. Like I wish that would come back as just something that's completely different. I mean, I think part of the reason like Ryder Cup and President's Cup are so exciting to watch is the fact that it's a completely abnormal games that are being played versus because honestly, you can watch golf 45 weeks of the year if you want to, but if it's
gonna be the same tournament every week, just different layout,
right? Give me something new and exciting and different. Come on. We should try to interview the commissioner, see if he'll come on the show.
Oh, he would tell us anything we want to hear.
Maybe we could push him to say, hey, the people are demanding a variety.
But are they? We are. But yeah. I don't think the people know what they want.
Right. Well, I think the one thing Live, my one thing that I really like about Live is the team aspect of that. And how there's kind of the tournament within the tournament. Because if you could quote unquote kind of be out of the tournament, but your round still counts and you're trying to push for your team, I think that just creates a little bit more excitement than just who's going to actually win that week.
Yeah, I'm still meh about Live. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like I'm used to one thing. And I'm used to the PGA being the top tier. It's kind of like me as a wrestling fan, WWF or WCW back in the day. Like it's kind of hard to watch everything and enjoy it as the same thing. I still hate the shotgun start. I don't like that I can't watch certain people at a certain time because everyone starts at the same time. So it's flipping around all the
Yeah.
time. And so stuff like that kind of gets me.
I think the
The
thing
team thing's
it's
okay too.
yeah, I think what's those guys when you really think about pro athletics, the amount of time, effort, and money it takes to get to the PGA Tour is pretty astronomical. And then you get in, and then it's like, congratulations, you better have about $250 to $300,000 to spend this year to get you on the Traveling Roadshow. And by the way, there's absolutely no guarantee that you're going to get paid at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the nice thing about Live, but I mean, all that money payout in a conversely opposite direction. Like those guys like Cam Smith and everybody like that, they've made so much damn money that I'm sure they're not grinding as hard as they were 2, 3 years ago when they were on the tour.
I
And I
think
think
that's what
that
separates like them from Bryson because Bryson's always on it. He don't stop.
no, yeah, I think a lot of those guys have just kind of said like, okay, I'm good enough. I can coast and I still got my paycheck. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic between the two of them. But I wish that the PGA Tour would do a couple more interesting kind of
They've
things.
got to
Like even
do.
the Olympics. The Olympics is
Yeah.
the same basic format too. Like I wish that they would do a couple of different, like do a 4-day men's tournament, do a 4-day women's tournament, and then do a Ryder Cup, like a mini Ryder Cup or a mini President's Cup kind of situation to go just do something different and exciting or long drive contests. I don't know. Give me some random cool things to watch.
Yeah, I think the PGA has kind of handcuffed themselves as well. Like they can't change their routing now because then everyone would be like, "Oh, you're just trying to compete with Live
Yeah.
if you go the team route." So I think that's what they're trying to do with this whole indoor league, but then their building fell
That
apart and
building
never went back.
collapsed in a tornado.
Yeah, so
That would be exciting though. I mean, because I think that was kind of the plan, was for that to kind of bridge the gap between now and what would be the start of the 2025 season. And
yeah,
that was going to be kind of fun because it was supposed to be somewhat screen golf. And then inside of 40 or 50 yards was supposed to be played real. And then they had like a floor that could move to create and kind of mimic greens. So that would have been interesting to see if it actually could have came to fruition.
maybe one day.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
but yeah,
got to be expensive.
PJ has limitless money,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm not sure. The PJ is kind of stuck right now. I think they're relying heavily on the majors to kind of keep them afloat because their playoff format's kind of wonky. I mean, when you got the number one golfer on the tour saying, "I don't understand why it's like this. It doesn't make sense." You've got a problem.
Yeah.
And now between now and April, no one gives a flying F about the PGA Tour.
Right.
They'll,
Well,
they'll
I
try and
think,
say they will, but they don't.
yeah. TPC in March,
I
people
guess, yeah,
start
the
to,
players in Kapalua, but there's still all that dead time in between the two.
yeah. Arnold Palmer is kind of, I mean, I think Arnold Palmer is a little bigger in the Central Florida area than maybe it is nationwide. But I mean, I agree for the most part, there's really
See, I thought Bay
no,
Hill was in May.
no, it's early. It's a couple of weeks or a week or two before the players, because they kind of do that Florida swing. They
I
go down to
guess, yeah.
Miami and do Doral or PGA. Then they go over to Tampa, do the Valspar at at that Diamondback or whatever that course is called. They spend about a month here in Florida, and then Bay Hill, and then over to the Players. Players was kind of more fun to watch for me this year because I got to play Sawgrass for my 40th birthday last summer. So that was kind of interesting, having played it and then watching it on TV. And then those shots that I thought I hit that were so terrible. And then I saw some pros in those spots, and I was like, oh, okay, I felt a little better about myself. But
Yeah, but the difference is like you're not like you're far away from being a pro, but you're not super far in terms of just like the number of shots that you take compared to them. Like you're only what 10 shots different sometimes.
yeah.
Like it's not a
Well, and I
lot.
think a lot of that is just it's putting in short game is the
Yeah,
thing that separates those guys so much more from your really low single digit handicap golfers to a plus handicap golfer. It's they don't hit that many better drives or long iron shots. It's proximity to a pin with approach shots, and they're making birdie putts
yeah.
where,
Because I
you
you
know,
watch a lot of PGA things and they spray the ball around pretty good sometimes, but they can get up and down with the best of them.
yeah. Like the one thing that I took away from watching the Breaking series with in St. Andrews with, the three of them, and then with Lucas Herbert, is Lucas got the ball to the cup every time.
Yeah, there
Like
was
his
no
putt,
leaving things 6 feet short.
no, there was there, and if he left a putt short, it was within 4 or 5 inches. Everything he putted was high side and to the cup, and that makes such a dramatic difference when you're putting on the gas versus kind of on the brakes. Because if your putt is under the cup and short, it never ever had a chance of going in.
Yeah. I recently played with a PGA professional, not a PGA Tour player, but the guy who teaches golf at in my city. He's a PGA professional, and just he was playing with an injury, and he still finished 9 holes -1 before he tapped out because he couldn't go anymore. But like, just doesn't miss, and when he does miss, he can correct those mistakes. Everything's flush, putts are hit well. It's it's a weird how different their game is, and yet they're playing the same game.
Yeah. Well, process. I think the attention to detail and the process is the thing that really separates those elite level players from your average run of the mill golfer. Because I've always thought this was fascinating. If you're a 10, 12, maybe a 15 handicap golfer, you are capable at any one point in time of having a few to multiple tour level shots come out of your golf game.
Yeah,
You never accidentally run almost as fast as Usain Bolt. Like, that doesn't happen. Or if you suddenly got an opportunity to go, do home run derby, even if they're throwing you soft watermelons, you're not hitting one 450. Or if you got up and had a major league pitcher throw you a ball, I mean, you're going to whiff that thing 4 times through. So we're capable of doing that. It's just, do we have the mental fortitude together to be able to reproduce that time over time over time over time over time, and get our mentality right to where we can go, okay, that one was bad. Whoop, reset. Okay, that's fine. I know how to hit a good chip shot.
yeah. So, and it's golf is like the one sport where you can practice for free, pretty much, if you have space or the imagination for it. You can't really
Yeah,
practice hockey without ice. You can't
that's true.
practice baseball without a net or
Yeah.
someone else hitting you
I
baseballs
mean,
or
you can
renting field
practice
space. So,
hockey in your basement, but I'm sure your mom would get mad at you.
I've put many holes in my walls when I was a kid, but even then, like you can't practice skating, which is at least 50% of what you need to be good at, on top
Yeah,
of your mental game and your physical game. But skating is everything in hockey. So golf,
yeah.
you
I
can you
have.
can take a wedge and go hit 10-yard flops or little pitches or something, and just pick a target and hit to it 10 times over, and make your spread a lot smaller each time you do it.
Yep. I do. I do that a lot in my backyard. I've got about a 30-yard shot that kind of goes up over a patio and into a wooded area. So if I hit one long, it's not a big deal. But I probably hit that shot 100 times today. And then I got 2 years ago, not this Christmas, but the Christmas prior, I got a well putt mat, and that's that one that's got it doesn't actually have a cup in it. It's just got a pic, like a graphic of one, and then different zones to hit at. And I use that thing all the time. And my house is 70-ish years old, so the garage is really sloped front
Yeah,
to back. And so I can, wherever I place that mat, I bet I've got I can create 5 to 6 inches of break in that mat in my garage. So I don't
I,
really need to go to a putting green because I can putt uphill, I can putt downhill, I can make big left breakers, right breakers, everything.
yeah. Well, welcome aboard, boys. We got John Fink and USA Sean Callahan from Seattle. How you doing today?
Doing well. Doing well. Nice to take a little break from some house projects to
Yeah,
talk about this.
what are you working on?
Oh, nothing exciting. Just our shower in the basement needed some new silicone, so just peeling all the old gross stuff off.
So
Cool.
you're just being a handyman today on your
Yeah,
holiday
yeah.
Monday?
Yeah, that's what happens. You do manual labor on Labor Day.
Fair enough. Yeah. What are you drinking? Because we're just talking to John about it. He's got vanilla Coke, which I'm very upset with him about. But what do you got going?
Oh, this is just regular old H2O, but it is through
Ah,
a fancy Berkey filter. So,
Oh.
it tastes a little extra. Yeah.
the second I saw it there, I thought it was like a bottle of wine or something.
No, no, the Merlot is for afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. That'll be a well-deserved treat.
yeah.
So, boys, we got a big week coming up. You guys excited?
Oh, it's insane. This is, I think, our biggest turnout
Yeah.
ever.
What are we
Yeah.
at now?
120, John, I think, is last we
Yeah,
checked.
last I checked, 120 people.
Good
It's
lord, is there a
so
cap on
wild.
this, or are you just letting it just freely open?
I think the max cap that's in the contract that we don't get to view when it's the HQ one is 150. Just due to pure chaos that would happen if they sold over that amount. I think they had
No
one that was
kidding.
like 150 in like the Midwest or something like that.
Gotta love Chambers Bay having so much trust in that many people ripping up their course.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
John was the first one to reach out. John can talk about it.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued about how you, because when we talked to Sam a couple weeks ago, he said there's a level of reluctancy when you go, hey, I am with Random Golf Club and I've got this really cool idea to have 100 people go out and play golf at one time. Like, how do you talk to a golf course at that level? And just, I mean, like, congratulations on having like a huge set of cojones to be brave enough to do that.
Yeah, I think when I was brought on as an ambassador for the Seattle area, I just was like, let's take a big shot and see. And then we emailed Chambers Bay like 4 or 5 years ago to be like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we plan to do. And they're like, sure, yeah, come on out. So having
Crazy.
Chambers Bay be like, oh yeah, that's cool, come on out. But then like the local munis would be like, no, don't even think about it.
Yeah,
So
we've gotten some responses that I almost want to print out and put on a bulletin board of just like I think there was one. Well, maybe they'll let us on, so I don't want to put them on blast. But there was a municipal kind of the Central Seattle area, and they responded with like, Though we appreciate your enthusiasm and what you're trying to do, we'd love to have you out for a regular round. If not, we'll see you next time or something like that. It was along the lines of like, go F yourself,
Couldn't be more
you
dismissive.
weirdos. Yeah. I was just like, okay, well, I'm sorry, your $45 a round golf course will not welcome us. Like it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But
Well, like after last year, I played Chambers Bay on my own, and I didn't really notice any difference with the course. So it seemed like people really respected the turf they were on, and or Chambers
oh,
Bay just does a really good job of covering it up. But either
It,
way,
it's both. I mean, you've only been out for the one time, but John and I have been there since day one. I mean, the first year I was not an ambassador or a captain, whatever you want to call it, and then the second year I was a temporary captain because the one guy who used to be the co-captain with John wasn't available. But like I think there's just something with the vibe of all of us with who are involved with our GC of like respecting the game, but also like pushing past like what the known limits of what a golf experience will look like. And so I see people out there fixing all their pitch marks and if they're picking their ball up, they're trying to rake the waste bunkers and all that stuff. So I think it just kind of comes with the group that we are, that we do a lot to like do everything in power to get these golf courses to welcome us back, especially Chambers Bay. But then also on top of that, I've been out there and seen the crew that keeps everything managed, and those dudes are like scientists, like also doing backbreaking work. It's insane.
yeah, we're very excited to get back out there. And do we have any times yet? What time are we expecting to get this show on the road? Are we going to be able to get 9 holes in before the sun
Because you
goes
guys
down?
finished in the dark, didn't you, last time?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
they plan
very.
it
It
out
was
that
very
way.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this year, I think we might actually end with a little bit of sunlight. Knock on wood. I think we're starting at 4 p.m. is what
That'll
the
be all
the
right.
ticket thing
Yeah.
says. But I'm sure there's going to be the tents will be up probably like 2 hours beforehand or something.
Sweet.
But
Well, there's tickets left, so go get them and join the revolution at Chambers Bay. It's gonna be a trip. It's the best experience I've had on a golf course by far.
yeah, man,
So
I
thanks for hosting
remember.
it, guys.
Yeah, I remember when we got the tee off on what was that? We did the alternate routing. We did, I think, what was it 16? You and I got the tee off together, Sean.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, right by the railroad tracks. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
fun.
pretty cool. I still got the video on my phone from that.
Nice.
So you guys have been a chapter for 4 or 5 years, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, John, you can
established.
talk to how that started. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I was talking to a friend at work at the time, and I was like, "Hey, you should start something like locally of like inviting all golfers out. No, not dependent on skill or anything." Then I stumbled upon Eric and Random Golf Club, and I was like, "Okay, let's reach out to him and his crew and see what they need and if I could come on and to help." And so, like a few months later, I got an email that said, "We'd love to bring you on as an ambassador for the Seattle area." And I was like, "Sweet, what do I do?" So this was like times when there was like not even a dozen ambassadors, and we were using GroupMe. So like very small chat. Then it kept growing. I eventually brought on another ambassador to kind of lighten the load and kind of even it out between us. Um, he eventually moved out of state, and I knew Sean. He was there since the first meetup at our local par three course, um, and so it's been kind of history since.
So you guys have done it long. I mean, it was way more grassroots when you started it, and 3 different iterations of social networks
Oh,
before.
it's been like 5 or 6. They've
Yeah.
they've dumped us on like, all right,
Yeah,
these 2 months we're using GroupMe. All right, then we're gonna use like this other chat bot, and Discord was the big game changer. Yeah, you guys are shaking your heads. I think you remember when Discord popped up, and that was a real game changer about connecting everybody, not just the chapter itself, but like multiple chapters with other chapters.
So what was your initial? Because there's a lot of these developing markets where there is not a lot of group connection yet. What did you see that worked? What didn't work? How did you kind of get some momentum growing in your area? Now, obviously, like having Chambers Bay helps that tremendously, but what would you tell other RGC captains or people who want to help, or even if you're not involved with a random golf club, like how do you grow a supportive community of golfers?
I would say, I guess, kind of be inclusive. Because like you come out to the meetup and see like someone's like, oh, I've been golfing like 2 months, and then you see someone who's like, I guess Andrew Black, who like plays on the U.S. Amateur, or I forgot it's called U.S. Amateur Tour. Who's like he was just in Portland playing a tournament. So it's like you got people from like beginners all the way up to like tournament players, but also kind of being engaged in the community. Um, I guess the biggest part was reaching out to people in the community around us. They were like, "Hey, we got tea time, say at Chambers Bay this Sunday. Anyone want to come join us?" So it's like just including people with our tea times and what we're doing in the golf world.
Yeah, to echo that, and we've talked about it on our captain meetings. I can't remember how many of those you guys might have been in, but it's just the doing a meetup, whether it's 3 people or 30 people, or maybe someday 300. It's every time we go out, yeah, we want to have like the most we've ever had. We want to have that, but I think one of our best meetups early on, post Chambers, is I think we did a meetup at Jefferson. It was one of our first Mad Scrambles at Jefferson. Actually, no, I take that back. It was Nile Shrine Golf Course, and it was before we started doing the big group scramble, and we were still doing kind of like everybody had their own ball. And we got 12 people, and everybody was glowing. Like everybody was just so excited. Like there were people walking by and they were like, that's the biggest group I've ever seen on a golf course. And we were like, we're only going to get bigger, and like, come join us, and they were like, what is that? And it was like random golf clubs. They're like, Eric Anders Lang's thing. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. They're like, cool. And it's just, getting out there and being seen, even if like, you're group of 4, group of 5, group of 6, like. And then I think the other thing that really grew us was just doing regular like golf matches, like built from Discord or built from Group Me. You would go out with like 4 guys that you've never met before, which is the whole point of, Random Golf Club, and just talking about the vibes and getting excited, and then being able to connect via our Instagram, or the Discord or whatever group chat we had. It's one of those things I always say, where when I started trying to golf again back in like 2019, I had 2 friends who golfed, and within 6 months, I annoyed the hell out of them, saying like, all right, let's go play again. Let's go play again. Let's go play again. And then I just started going out as a single, because I was traveling for work. And then, the whole Random Golf Club thing kicked off. I was already following Adventures in Golf, so it was regular to me. But then I met John through our meetup, that we had at Willows Par 3. And then it just kept growing, and it's insane to see it where it's at now versus when, I walked up to John on the practice green and was like, is this the Random Golf Club thing? Yeah.
It's pretty neat to go from, hey, I'm Sean, I'm that shy guy, to you're the leader of, I think, probably top 3 biggest chapters in RGC.
Yeah, yeah, arguably.
Hell of a glow up.
Yeah, it was Phoenix and Vegas, I think, are our 2 biggest competitors. But there's some Midwest and some East Coast stuff that's picking up. Now that there's a better foundation for like creating your own chapter and getting us all together and lessons learned and all that hype talk stuff.
Yeah.
Do you find, and Sean and I kind of talked about this a little bit ago, he had mentioned, we talked about first tee jitters, showing up to play golf with a bunch of even 3 other strangers, and that stress we put upon ourselves. And like Sean mentioned, like showing up, playing with like 100 different people and just being like completely free. Do you see that? You hear that from a lot of other people, or that people are just kind of going absolutely nuts and just pulling off? They're going like, I never play golf this well, or?
You can go ahead, John.
Okay, I think with that, it's kind of like when you're pulling up to like a Mad Scramble event, you see like, I like last year, I was like, oh, I have to tee off in front of 50 other people. So it's like you kind of in a way feel like what PGA pros kind of feel like. You feel that pressure of the first tee, but you're also there. You're kind of there to have fun. But then like after like the first hole, like you get to the next tee box and you're vibing, you're hanging out with everybody. You're swinging easy then. So
Yeah, and to add on to that, like I've noticed it too, like how John's saying, where you'll get people who've never been to a meetup before. We usually do the standard question of like, all right, who's been here before? Who knows what's going on? Who's here their first time? And then the standard thing, like, all right, we're gonna birdie every hole except for the holes that we eagle, and usually get to chuckle. But you get those people like who are just out there ready to like swing away and have some fun, and then you get the nervous people top it off the first tee. But I usually try and like take the bullet, with the first or second shot, because we've done this so many times now that I've hit the worst shots of my life in front of 50 people, and then they rarely ever see the one where I'm like, I guess I'm going on the Corn Ferry tour, like
Yeah.
yeah, I finally figured it out on the range. But as far as also the other part goes, is like we see people usually around the sixth or the seventh hole just like pulling off shots that they've never done. Like there's this newer guy to our group, Blaine, who's becoming a buddy. He hit some, like I think 3 or 4 of the best drives on our last meetup at West Seattle. And he was like, I never hit a driver like this. This is some kind of freak accident. It's just the energy and the positivity that we bring to it. Like, in the 17B of laughing at the bad shots, like you're probably going to hit the best shot of your life and the worst shot of your life at our meetups. And that's part of the fun.
Yeah, that's a feeling, like figure out how to bottle that and then sell it to people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I can echo that one. That first tee, I think I was the second group that teed off behind the first couple, and it was just like I forgot people were even behind me. It was the weirdest feeling. Like it just went dead silent, and I piped it, and I turned around like that shit was awesome.
Yeah, that, and when you sink a putt in front of people, like John and I have been lucky enough to sink a couple of putts on our meetups. We usually try and go last, so everybody has a chance. But when you sink a putt and then you hear that roar of a crowd behind you, it's pretty magical. And now I've been working really hard to kind of capture every putt on my phone so we can do a little video at the end, and it's pretty magical getting everybody. Like I think there was one kid that came out and he was like, I came out for my first time and I made a putt like on hole 3, like I saw this on Instagram like 2 months ago, and the dude was just like glowing, and I was like, I'm so stoked that we're a part of that.
Yeah, making memories for life. It's the weirdest thing to ever be a part of, like for golf anyway.
Oh,
It's
for sure.
it's so surreal. I can't even describe the feeling you get when you do these events, but they're the coolest thing. So
I try and tell my non-golf friends, and they're just kind of like, yeah, man, sounds great. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Let me sit you down. Here's a video on my phone, and they're like, I still don't get it. And I'm like, well, all right, I guess this is just my little magical circle,
no,
and
not just
hang
you.
out in it. Yeah, well, our circle,
Yeah.
of like we're
Well, I
in
think,
this little part.
I've played a couple of like 5-man best balls where somebody snuck on and you felt like you were just really like breaking the rules, and just
Yeah.
even that extra person, just you're like, this is so fun and crazy, and there's just got to be this part of you that's constantly going like, I can't believe that they're letting us take 100 people out.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah, I mean, John and I remember when we had 5 of us at the first meetup, and I was like, this is amazing. This is great. And then we had like 9 people, I think, at the next meetup. Then we had 12. Then we had, and then Chambers, I think, was the first year that we broke 20 or something, and then now our average number at Chambers is around like 35, 36 without like, HQ behind us. And one of the guys, Colin, who was at the very first meetup with us, he was at the last Mad Scramble that we had, and we were sitting there on hole 16, and I looked over at him and I was like, dude, is this real? Like, and he's like, I can't, he's like, I can't even put words to this, dude. This is so insane. Like, back in 2021, I think it was in September when we had the first meetup, to get to where we are now is just, it baffles my mind, where I just kind of like black out. And by the end, I'm like, what just happened? Oh wait, I got a bunch of stuff on my phone, and the memories come flooding in usually the next day, and it's unreal.
Yeah. I'm gonna also try myself to record this one again. I did last year, but I had a new phone and it didn't save things properly, so I lost a lot of stuff. But
Oh no.
if we play on Sunday, are we recording the match?
Oh, we gotta at least maybe record a couple holes or something. I'll bring a battery charger for my phone, just to make sure we don't.
I've got all my stuff, so I plan on filming as much as I can. I've got 2 phones, so I've got plenty of battery space and memory for you kicking my ass all over Chambers.
Oh no way, dude! I think I heard they're like single digit or something like that. Like
it's just a number.
Okay, yeah. I mean, on my best,
the most sandbaggery thing I've ever heard.
100%.
I mean, what's 4 or 12? It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. On my best day, I'm a 10, and on my worst day, I'm a 25. And my current number is a little sad just because I had a bunch of sad rounds in the middle of moving into my house, and they finally caught up with me.
I think we'll have a good time on Sunday. Whatever we bet on, I'm looking forward to it.
I heard this is for like intercontinental bragging rights of the name Sean.
It's our own personal border battle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If we're doing tattoos, like, do I have you put like CM97 somewhere on your body?
No. We'll probably just pick something golf related. I don't even have any tattoos, but it just reminded me of when Eric lost that match to, I forget who it was on the
Anthony Kim
channel. Anthony Kim, yeah, where he lost that to Anthony Kim with Liv and got the non-unicorn tattoo, and I was like, yeah, that'd be funny. I'll gladly get a tattoo that's 1 by 1 inch somewhere hidden on my body.
Yeah, you should get a maple leaf. It should be like a maple leaf.
Oh, that'd be harsh.
I don't know if I can make him do something treasonous. So
yeah. I mean, then there'll be 2 Seans in Canada after I flee. Yeah.
Well, you're always welcome. So
yeah. I mean, yeah.
We'll think of something good.
Random Golf Club wasn't the first person to say everyone's welcome. I think it was Canada first.
I mean, depends on who you ask these days.
Touche.
So what is, John, and question for both of you, what's your first real golf memory from when you were a kid, or like how long have you been playing?
I've been playing since I was about 10 to 12. I grew up, had a middle school behind my house, had a big field. So my dad got me some like cheap junior clubs, and I just go out there and with a pitching wedge and try to hit the scoreboard or try to hit it over the scoreboard. So I would just spend my afternoons and summers just hacking around in a field with like 6-inch tall grass. Surprisingly enough, I didn't hit any houses.
Good start.
Yeah, great start.
So I'm hearing you say you're really good at scrambling out of the rough.
Yes.
Actually, yeah. I've seen some miracle shots from John over the years.
Yeah.
Where I'm just kind of like, how is that possible? But
now you know why.
Yeah.
So I grew up that, and then like when I was in high school, I joined a golf league. We played 9 holes. I think it was like Thursday night. I was like the young guy on the league because there was a bunch of like church old guys, and they're like, "Oh, John's here." And then eventually I just kind of would hack around here and there. And then the past few years, taking it more seriously. So
cool.
What about you, Sean?
As for me, sort of similar. My dad was always kind of like, he had a couple of random golf buddies from his softball team that he did. And I remember like it was like peak Tiger phase, and Phil, and like watching those guys battle, on TV on like Sunday mornings. And then we used to play Arnold Palmer golf on like NES or Sega Genesis, like one of those classic, like, 16, 32-bit golf games. And then, so like my first memory of golf is like on TV, whether it's video game or like a real like PGA event. But then my dad had he finally got like a newer set of clubs. I think they were like some tailor-made bubble shaft knockoffs. They were like,
oh no.
Yeah.
Those things were beauties.
Yeah. But like his were like, it wasn't like tailor-made. It was
tour model or something.
Exactly.
I had a driver that was
They were, it was back, before like, copyright was like super frowned upon. you would get the, anyways, he bought those. And so he had this old set of like persimmons. I think they were like Spaldings. And then he had, I think like a couple of ping irons, and he cut them down for me. I was like maybe, like 7 or 8. And we had this lemon tree in our backyard, and it would just overproduce insane amounts. And so rather than buying practice golf balls, I would hit the lemons, across our yard back and forth. And then it got to the point where I was good enough to where I was hitting them over the fence. And so my dad would come home and he's like, go and pick up all the lemons out of the road, you idiot. Like, and I would go out and there'd be like, 20 lemons sitting in the middle of our street, like ran over by cars and all kinds of stuff. And, but I never really played golf. Like I went and played one round, I think when I was like 13 with some friends. And I was like, before that I would go to an occasional driving range or something. And I remember loving it and probably shooting somewhere around 200, and then just excited to drive a golf cart. And then I kind of fell away from golf until I was probably like 19 or 20, and tried to join my community college league. And then quickly found out that if you couldn't shoot under 100, you would never get to play in a match, but you got free range balls. But I didn't have any friends who played golf. It's kind of echoing my later story, to where then I had some friends in Seattle around 2014, 2015, who were playing at a little pitch and putt that we have out here called Green Lake, and started playing with them. And then I started taking it more serious. And then before you knew it, I broke 100. And before you knew it, I broke 90, and still have yet to break 80, but I've danced around there quite a bit. But that's the quick story.
Yeah.
The highlight is the lemons. The lemons is the highlight.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So is and forgive me for my ignorance, with Seattle being fairly temperate, like how many months of golf is not all year round there?
But it is.
Is it?
There's some diehards. Like I've gone out, I think maybe it was me and John and maybe the old captain, I think Will was his name. We played in like, what was that, John? Like 34, 35 degree weather.
Yeah, I remember first tee, I topped my driver and the pond in front of it was frozen, so it bounced off and ran down the fairway.
Yeah, and there was it was funny with Seattle. It was like a huge rainstorm, like two nights in a row, and then we went out because there was no rain, but all the bunkers were full of like maybe 2 feet of water, and so it was frozen. And so you would hit into the bunker and you're like, okay, wait, so is this a water hazard? Is this a sand trap? Like, do I drop and take 2, or unplayable lie? Or, it was, but yeah. And then like John said, you would get to certain holes where water was in play, and there'd be like, all your bright red Callaway balls, or like Vice balls just sitting out in the middle, waiting to like, for the water to defrost or melt, and then the balls would
eventually
disappear. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're wearing multiple layers and, gloves, and taking your gloves off before you swing. Like as long as there's no snow on the ground, we play.
Like the scramble last year was early November, and I think it was 5 degrees for that, and I was the only one out there in a t-shirt.
I had to do math there for a second. You're talking metric.
Yeah, I can't. I don't feel like doing the math. I'm just going to talk Canadian, but yeah, I think 5 degrees is just over 50.
Yeah, it's around there. Yeah, it was a little chilly. It's nice that this one's in September, but I mean, John can talk about the last kind of local chapter meetup that we had at Chambers.
Yeah, we do this kind of late April. We might do it early May this year. We're still deciding, but past 3 or 4 years, it's been like beautiful, unseasonable warm weather. And then like this year around, it's like we got to a few holes and like you could see the clouds rolling in with the heavy rain. It's like heavy rain, like you could see it on the water. So it's like, all right, we're gonna get rained on really hard.
Yeah, and we had I think it's in one of our putting videos on our Instagram, where like hole 1 is dark and cloudy, hole 2 is rainy, hole 3 is sunny, and then like hole 4 is rain again, and then like by hole 5 we had a rainbow on one side of the golf course and a torrential downpour on the other. And then, yeah, we ended up with some sun on hole 9, like right at sunset, which was amazing. Like,
yeah, it was, we were coming up like
people. Yeah.
we were coming up like hole 5, and like the rain was just ripping in. It was coming in sideways. Like everybody's right side was like wet, and like their left side was dry.
Yep. But yeah, it's the weather. It looks like we're going to be blessed with good weather. Knock on wood for this Mad Scramble meetup.
It looks great.
Yeah, we've had every kind of weather at every kind of event, and it's something about even transplants eventually just succumb to weather and they play. But I mean, there's probably a bunch of fair weather golfers, but most of the random golf club people that we have, they got rain suits, they got gloves, and then they're acclimated, and they're wearing shorts in 70, 60 degree weather. So, yeah.
Yeah. I live in Florida.
Yeah.
So we're just used to sweating to death.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, the golf courses this time of the year are really, really quiet because nobody wants to go out and play. And we'll have those things too, where it's that torrential, ridiculous downpour, but then we're trying to dodge, lightning.
I was like, you're dodging hurricanes out there, like.
yeah. They're not so bad. We got hammered by Ian 2 years ago where I live, so that was not fun. But we're past the peak of hurricane season and coming on the downslope of that. So hopefully they stay out to sea and just bring us some tasty waves and leave everybody alone.
Nice.
So this is completely unrelated. I was stalking you guys on Instagram today. So John, do you
Stalking's
roast?
illegal.
You roast your own coffee?
I do roast in my own in my garage. Yeah.
Okay, so that seems like the most Seattle thing that you can do because like coffee doesn't grow there. Why?
No.
Why is Seattle the birthplace of coffee? And then tell us like what we should be drinking. And I'm sure that you guys all kind of rage against the machine that is Starbucks.
I think it kind of started with Starbucks in the like early 70s where they started here. And it's like, I guess people were just kind of like, oh, that's where coffee shops come from and things like that. But I guess for myself, the weird funny part was like lived in Michigan most of my life, and like we moved to Seattle. I didn't drink coffee then. At the time my wife was doing her master's. She's like, all right, get out of the house, go do something. So I'd like go wander around like Wallingford downtown, just try coffee. And so like I got hooked, and I was like, all right, how does coffee get roasted and then brewed? And then it was a downward spiral. So I got a little roaster in my garage, and I buy my own beans and roast them and hand them out sparingly. Well, not sparingly, but like randomly. So like got a little extra. I'm like, oh, here's a bag of coffee I roasted. I'm like, oh, thanks.
So it sounds like you're going to be supplying the scramble with your own
caffeinated beverages.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have that capacity.
Yeah, John's customer base is like 10 random people, 20 random people a year, versus 100. Like I've been lucky enough to get a couple bags from him over time, and he roasts it right. I also wasn't a big coffee drinker when I first got up here in Seattle, and then I was surrounded by like 27 of them because I lived in a really hipster part of town, Capitol Hill for those who know. And yeah, before I knew it, I was like, oh, they have Ethiopian beans over there. I'm not feeling that today. Maybe I'll get some Colombian. And then what's this over here? Oh, they only do machine pour. I was like, I wanted pour over today. Yeah.
I don't drink coffee, so I'm completely irrelevant in this conversation. But,
yeah, we are not fancy coffee drinkers at our house.
What's funny is, and I'll let John speak more to it, but I used to be like a big like Denny's diner coffee, like that was my go-to. And then when you live in Seattle and you're a single person, when I was, you end up dating a barista at some point in your life. It's a part of the merit badge. And then and then before you know it, they're like bringing over their own coffee, or they're taking you to the nicer coffee shops, and you're like, oh wow, this coffee tastes smooth and it has a bunch of different notes and flavors in it, and there's like a different profile, and how did they make it? They made it this way. And then before you knew it, I could get down and dirty still with Denny's any day of the week. But then if somebody hands me like, a nice, bag of beans. I'm like, all right, well, I have to carefully grind these. I have to put them through this filter, or else it's going to be a disservice to the beans. Like, I occasionally send John coffee memes of just people preparing coffee in the worst, nastiest way, or like roasting it in their microwave. And he's just like, you could just see him just like cringing, from afar. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the civet cat coffee?
I guess I would say it's an inhumane way to get decent coffee. 'Cause like it's like when it first started, it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then it's like the people realize like, oh, we could,
They exploited it. Yeah.
factory farm this, and yeah.
Do you know the story behind that, Sean?
Mm-mm. I do not know.
Which one are you asking?
Well, how about Canada, Sean?
Touche. Yeah. Wait, we can call me Callahan or USA, I guess. Yeah.
You want?
But yeah,
I bought my parents a bag of it for Christmas this year, and they're like, "Oh, this is cool." So it's these Southeast
like
Asian,
like
civet,
lemur type, animal
cats, and they eat the coffee beans, and then they poop. They eat the coffee cherries, and they poop out the beans, and then they select the coffee beans out of that, clean it, roast it, and then it's supposed to make for a less acidic, more evenly tannined coffee because of it being pre-processed by the cats.
No, thank you.
You know what this is setting off in my mind. I gotta show you this real quick.
Yes, visual media and audio profile. I was about to say for those listening, the look on John's face when Brian started talking about the coffee beans. Oh yeah, Austin Powers.
This coffee tastes like shit. It is shit.
That's exactly it. But yeah, John's face when you first started talking about that, I could just see his micro expressions like, how am I going to battle this?
Yeah.
So John, you did a tour of Canada earlier in the year, so we'll get to that in a second, but did you go to Tim's at all? Did you try our Timmy's coffee? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, growing up in Michigan, like we had Tim Hortons all around.
Oh yeah,
so it's like
I guess so.
Moving to like Washington, like the closest one's like 2.5 hours away in Vancouver, and I'm like, So it's like every like pit stop we did was like, oh, there's a Timmy's.
So you like it?
Oh, I love it.
Okay, that's good. That's a win for Canada.
Yeah.
Score.
Those maple donuts.
Oh, yes.
Maple glazed.
Maple forever. Yeah.
Maple dips are good to go.
Good.
So Sean, you're not originally from Seattle then, from what I gather. Where are your home base located?
I'm from Tucson, Arizona, born and raised. I moved out of there in when was that? 2008, early January. I moved up here, but yeah, I was a desert rat for many a year.
What made you leave sunny Arizona for Seattle?
Let's see. I'll give you a Cliff Notes version. Let's see. So I've lived many lives. We'll say that. But one of my lives at that time is I was really big into like kind of like the dance DJ scene and like Justice and Rapture and LCD Sound System, Daft Punk, et cetera, et cetera. And that was kind of like I was a big fish, little pond in that scene in Tucson downtown area, and had a bunch of DJ friends. And then a buddy of mine, Hank, he was up in Seattle doing internship for like a public access TV or something like that. And he was like, Sean, you got to come up here and visit. Like you can crash on my couch. Like the DJ dance scene, out here is out of control. Like we have 2 streets with clubs on it. They have 20, and so I was like, sure, I'll go up there, and went up there and like blew my mind. It was insane. I was lucky enough to make some friends pretty quickly up there because I'm at least at that time of my life, outside a random golf club, very social. And so fast friends with a bunch of people up there. And then went back in October for, I think it was Daft Punk and with Rapture opening, and saw that show. And then I was sitting there with one of my new friends, and I was like, why am I in Tucson? Like when this is here, like, and I love Tucson. It's, there's a lot of stuff going on in Arizona, but Tucson and the core is like full of a bunch of rad creatives. And at least it was, last time I visited, which was, 10 or so years ago. But so I was working a retail job at the time, found an opening for a like a tech manager at the Office Depot in downtown Seattle, and like literally like straight out of a movie. Like I sold all my possessions, fit everything I had into 2 duffel bags, and like booked a flight. And I had 2 weeks to find a place to live. Before I started my first day at my job, and went up there and just kind of switched into social mode and wrapped up a bunch of credit card debt, making friends. You're like, anytime somebody asked me to go out, I was like, all right, I'm there. And then I'd show up and I was like, everything's expensive up here. And I make a little bit of money in a retail job. Like, oh no. But made it happen. And as the city's grown, I've grown with it.
Lovely. How about you, John? How'd you get transplanted from Michigan?
Yeah, born in Ohio, moved there to Michigan when I was like 4 or 5. So, like I said, I was born and raised in Michigan, south of Detroit. Got married in 2012. Funny thing is, we honeymooned in Seattle and Portland.
Mm.
Or like those people when you go on vacation, like, yeah, I could live here one day.
You did
I'm
it.
like,
Yep.
unknown to us, like a year later, my wife would get a job in Seattle. Her choices at the time were either Pittsburgh or Seattle, and we're like, well, Pittsburgh doesn't sound fun. So we moved on our first wedding anniversary to Seattle. That was about it. I was cooking at the time, so got hooked up with a job at the local, we call it Fred Hutch, but it's like the local cancer research center here. Outside of that, moved on our first wedding anniversary, so I was like, happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's kind of
That's
funny
awesome.
how
Even
the
I didn't know
universe
that. Yeah.
does that, though. Now
Yeah.
look what you've got because of those decisions. So
Exactly.
that's pretty sweet. You wanna give us a rundown of your Canadian tour, how the courses you played, and what
Oh
you
yeah.
enjoyed about it?
So started outside of Seattle, drove up, spent a night in Revelstoke, BC, because it's eastern side of BC. We played Revelstoke Golf Course there. Myself and the group we were with, knowing we reached out to our boss. We also work part time at a golf course, so we got to play in Revelstoke for free, which was nice. So it's like free golf is the best golf. Apparently in Revelstoke they're building a Cabot Farms, so I'm like, oh, we gotta go back.
Super excited for that.
Yeah. So we went from Revelstoke we stayed in Canmore, just outside of Banff for a few days. Played at Fairmont Springs there.
What'd you think of that?
It was funny because it was like early June, and we got an email that morning that said, oh, there's a frost delay. And I'm like, it's June. But I'm like, I understand working at a golf course, and so like our tee time was pushed back a little bit, but course was beautiful. We got paired with the assistant groundskeeper for the hotel, and so like he was giving us like a history of the course and like different things he knows about the course. So I was like, that was good to see. The course was beautiful. If anyone's there, I'd recommend it.
It's my favorite course on the planet, so
yeah.
Oh, really?
it's always
Nice.
cool when I hear people play for the first time.
Yeah, and as the starter said, hole, I think it's 3 or 4. He said, I was like, yeah, it's the most beautiful hole in all of Canada. I was like, okay. And then like I got there, I was like, okay, I see why.
Yeah.
It's like the short par 3.
Now, I didn't play it this year. I played it last year, but when you went, was there water in the lake?
On that par 3 on the front?
Yeah, on the hole number 4.
There was not, but we did see some elk bones just off to the cart path.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to all the water there. It's got a thin layer of water there, and you can see the ground through it, but there hasn't been water there in the last 2 years. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened.
There was no water there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I hit one in there last year, and I ran out and got my ball from the center of this lake. So that was my adventure there last year.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it because it's my favorite course. I love going there. I didn't get out there this year. I played went to Grey Wolf instead. Try that one again. So that's another one you got to try the next time you're up here.
Yeah, the funny thing is like we were going through the round. It was like I could wear shorts, starting the round. Like by the time the round was over, it's like windy and like super cold. I was like, is it gonna snow?
Yeah.
So
Oh, that back nine is so bad if it gets windy, because like there's those 3 par 4s, they're all 450 plus, and the wind is
yeah,
always in your face.
yep, it was brisk,
Yeah.
and I didn't have the right clothing for the adventure.
That's something to hear because I've seen John wear shorts in the worst conditions, like so cold. He'll put on like a sweater and like a jacket, and then he'll still have shorts on. And I admire it every time. My little chicken legs, they have no insulation, so I need to usually put on long underwear and then pants on top of that.
You gotta fit
These
what's
are
comfortable.
problems that I'm not used to.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's under 75 degrees today. Better break out the parka. Yeah.
Yeah. We complain, you're like, the golf ball's not going very far today.
Oh man, to play golf now, though, at least a decent level that I can, like in a different elevation or like different humidity, would be amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. The only good thing about the dead of summer is that the golf ball goes a really long way here. I mean, granted, I'm playing at sea level,
yeah,
but
You can launch bombs up here.
yeah, you're not working against it,
yeah.
against anything.
I have
This
friends
is
in.
another
Oh, go ahead.
random
Yeah, you're fine.
golf courses in Canada. Are they measured like they're in meters, right? So how do you do that meters to yard thing? Or
It's
are you
yards.
it's in yards?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that?
I don't know. We pick and choose when we want to be different. So we do everything kilometers and stuff like that. But then yards is kind of a
Golf is
universal
in
thing,
yards.
unless you're going over to like Australia and those types of areas.
Or
They play in
Europe where it's
meters.
in meters.
But
Okay.
yeah, we're in yards. We don't do meters up here.
I've done meters on my rangefinder before, and that's always fun. You're like, I
Oops.
could have swear that it was 119 yards, and it's like, oh, it's 119 meters. No wonder. Yeah.
So meters is shorter than yards, I think, by
No, it's longer.
is it longer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's longer.
It's not a big difference though. I think
It's
like 150
not- it's
meters is
like-
like 135 yards. Something
Yeah, it's like
that.
half a club or at most a full club. Yeah.
Yeah. Never played a meters course. At least with yardages listed in meters.
Yeah.
Yet. There's time.
So we talked a little bit in the intro about new creative things that the PGA Tour could do to kind of break the monotony that is the PGA Tour. Do you guys have any other ideas kind of cooking for the next cool thing? I mean, not that anything's ever going to replace the Mad Scramble, but what are some other kind of crazy formats that you've done or things that you're thinking about in the future?
Border battle. I
Yeah.
want to get on one of those.
Yeah, John had. You can talk about that one.
Yeah, we I mean, last year was year 2 of the border battle where we do Vancouver versus Seattle. This year we haven't heard anything from Vancouver, so we're gonna have to like postpone it. But we've also Loomis is willing to, I guess, and I'll talk to Sean about this, Sean USA, about like what we want to do, like if we want to hold an 18-hole event there, just because it's like it's far away for a lot of people, and so like a 9-hole event there would just kind of be like, eh. So like the border battle is kind of a fun thing to do. Other things we've thought about is like having like a female range night, kind of gathering steam behind that, like bring out newer golfers or like the female golfer who's like, oh, I'm scared to go to the range because it's all these older guys like, hey honey, I'll give you a swing tip. Like they don't want that.
Come on, bro.
So like I guess what we've mentioned is like be more welcoming and more inclusive and just having fun out there.
Yeah, to echo that, especially the women's range night or women events, we've been, lucky enough to have some, non-males, trust us enough to come out, and they've always had a great time. Actually, kind of our two most consistent. There's these two women up in Canada that come down. I think Tiffany and
Ashley.
Ashley, thank you. Yeah. They come down. They're great. And they always have a blast. And then we got this newer group of ladies who were with us at the last Chambers event. I think, was it Nina and Christine? It's all kind of a part of this newer Instagram that's out there that people should give a follow. I think it's Pacific Bogey Club on Instagram. They're another good
Yep.
group of people. And then I always try and foster relationships with anytime we have like a non-male pop up in our Instagram, and give them a follow and be welcoming, like offer to go out for like a simple like regular 4-person round, just to kind of like break the ice and be like, hey, like 99%, 0.9% of the guys that we have that come out are like super rad. Most of them are married. And if they're single, they're not creeps. Like they're just excited to have somebody to play golf with, and the cool thing, I don't know how it's worked out in your guys' chapter, but on the occasion we get like the kind of the bad egg, just because life happens. Like those usually kind of get watered out. They realize that they're off the vibe and they usually never show up again. If it's only happened twice out of the like 15, 20 meetups we've had over the years. So I'd say our track record is pretty solid. So, but another thing that we're trying to do, we're trying to build a relationship with Five Iron out here in Seattle. And we've had a couple of meetups there that have been fun, just keeping it casual, kind of like an indoor range night, because getting, a whole section of our local heated ranges blocked off has proven to be difficult. You got to like pay in advance and make sure that you at least have a certain amount of people, or money's coming out of our pocket or out of HQ's pocket. And John and I get paid zero for this, as y'all know. But and you can't pay for golf with t-shirts and hats. So yeah,
Cool. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I can smell dinner is getting made right away, so I don't want to hold you guys up much longer. I'm sure you guys got the rest of the night planned. Sean, I wanted to ask you one thing though. That a project I've seen you working on since last year. How's the truck coming along?
oh, my heart. Well, for those listening, I have a lovely project truck. Her name is Maisel. She's a 1972 Mazda B1600. I'm like the third owner. That was the first year that those trucks came out in America, also known as a Ford Courier to if anybody out there listening who knows. But she's come a long way. I bought her for $800 back in like 2018, and I've probably put about, tools included, $8,000 into her, and she still doesn't drive. Her entire floor has been rebuilt. I've done a bunch of things to keep her alive over the years, and she's more of a living sculpture at this moment. But she's real close to driving. She's about probably $2,000 away from being a functional vehicle. But I wouldn't call it a mistake, but I made the choice, and me and my wife, we bought our first home. And it's also like it's a late 1960s house, so it's also has its fair share of problems. We're the second owners, and so anytime I'm thinking about going out there and like putting on the new carburetor that I got, or remaking the exhaust, I find out that I have to reseal the kitchen or the basement bathroom, and I gotta uninstall the garbage disposal from the kitchen sink. So I'll get to it at some point in my life. My goal is to drive it to Chambers Bay, which is a whopping 13 minutes away from me, pull my clubs out the back and have a round and drive back. And then I think at that point, I'll maybe give her a Vikings funeral and pass her off to the next person, Yeah.
I hope to see it.
Yeah. Every year I'm like, oh, this will be the year I'll drive it to the meetup. And then something happens. Last year, what was it? I had it running and I was going to drive it. Oh, and then I couldn't get the brakes to work. I sent it to mechanic. They couldn't figure out how to get the brakes to work. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I have to imagine the aftermarket for those parts is probably very limited.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. I was just telling a guy a story about it last night where he was asking about her, and the entire floor pan was rusted out completely. And I found one guy in Australia that had some factory stamped front floor pans for it. And I paid more in shipping than I did for the sheet metal to get it from Australia. And then found out from him, he's like, yeah, you got the last pair in existence. And I was like, oh, that's a funny joke. And then he's like, no, you got the last pair in existence. The molds are broken. Nobody has them. They've been sitting at the back of my shop. Nobody's wanted to pay for shipping, and you're the first person in 5 years who's actually followed through. And I was just like, oh, damn. Well, cool. And then for 6 months, and even now, every once in a while, I'll log back in on the Facebook chat that I'm on. And guys will be like, where'd you get your floor pans? And I was like, you're not getting them. Good luck to you. Godspeed. Yeah. But yeah, I can't find parts. Another problem, I have the engine, the cam is completely worn out, and you can't find a new one anywhere. So I got to find a donor engine at some point if I ever want to drive over 45 miles an hour. Yeah.
I hope one day that you get that thing running. I can't wait to see that happen on Instagram or wherever that you post it. So good luck to you.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's you're the third person to talk about it this week, so it's getting me excited to go out there and bloody my knuckles, turn in the wrench again.
Kind of gives me like a home improvement vibe where he kept building that car in his garage. So I mean, it took him 10 seasons to get that thing running. So
it's funny. I saw that clip about a month ago. It popped up on my feed, and I was like, I understand Tim the Toolman Taylor in this moment, and my poor wife who just watches me brush the dust off the car cover, take the cover off, look at it for 2 hours, and then put the cover back on, just like someday, Yeah.
Even if you don't get it running, I mean, it's still a really cool passion project, and it's something, it's just a hobby and something you get to do. So,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Whenever my golf game is on the back burner or trash, I can always go out there and find a 10-minute project that turns into a 10-hour project on it. Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, John knows that. John plays with his cars too. He has a pretty rad Subaru with decent little lift and some lights on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you didn't bring that to the scramble last year, so I didn't know that about you. I think you brought an SUV or a van last year. I think, didn't you?
Oh no, I had it last year.
Yeah, that was a lifted Subaru. It has, I think, like a
I missed that
2-inch or inch.
Yeah, 2-inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it an Outback or what is it?
Yeah, 2017 Outback. Yeah.
Nice. That's what I have too, but mine is very, very standard. It started its life in Oregon.
Hey, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I think that's where they're born. I mean, they're not born in overseas anymore. They just sprout up in Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they run on granola and happiness.
Indeed.
I'm not driving down there this time, so you can't see my dented to hell Nissan Rogue, but I'll get to be driving a very spiffy Chevy Spark on the weekend.
Oh, that's my go-to rental, man. It's just like driving a legal go-kart. Or golf cart. It's so much fun. It's like the same wheelbase. It's insane.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So we're creeping up in an hour, so I'm going to let you gentlemen get back to your nights. Thanks for coming on and chatting with us.
I'm super excited to watch some videos. We have not had a random Mad Scramble in Florida yet, so I am.
Oh, it's coming to you. I think I've seen October. Whispers of it. Oh, October. Okay, yeah.
I'm excited. I'm gonna quit my life and just go on the road for a couple of days as it meanders through Florida.
Hell yeah!
Just get the back of their trailer that they bring, and then
I can fold the seats down in my Subaru and just sleep right in the back.
I was gonna say just one last little tidbit that we heard from Charles the other day. Since they're sponsored by Ping now and they got that relationship, I think Ping's gonna get them a little Sprinter van that they can cruise around in and live that easy life. So the boys are getting an upgrade, and I'm happy for them. Yeah.
That's a nice little upgrade from the U-Haul trailer they're dragging behind with an SUV there last year.
Yeah, and the short-lived bus that they had too. Who knows where that ended up? Yeah.
It's probably still somewhere on the side of the road.
yeah, with Cowboy turning a wrench on it or something. Yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say this was fun, and then if you guys are ever short or dude and want me to pop on, I love talking about this stuff. So.
For sure.
Beautiful. This is episode 11. We've made it. We're past
double digits
halfway.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple episodes. You guys are doing great.
The top 1% of podcasts. Only 1% of podcasts make it past 21 episodes.
Oh, okay.
You guys are.
We're gonna get to 22, and then that's it.
Somewhere in the middle of our conversation, we crossed into the top 5%.
Hell yeah, that's so good. And you guys are doing great. And I have a couple I want to listen to. The one with the Persimmons guy, and then you had the invisible golf ball guy too that I saw that I want to listen to.
Oh yeah, Peter. Yeah. Peter, that episode really, on the surface level, Peter, and you watch that video, you got that guy's nuts.
Oh yeah.
But with what he has to say and the logic behind it, he's really, really brilliant, a super kind, compassionate guy. He actually and maybe apologies if I'm blowing up his spot, but I'm going to do it anyways. He is working with Golf in the Kingdom, Chivas Irons and everything like that. They have a memorial golf tournament every year, and they do a couple of interesting holes throughout it. And he got the approval. They're going to do hole number 1, no golf ball, invisible. Everybody gets to play their invisible through hole 1, and then shotgun start and everything like that. So it's something that I have adopted. I have an invisible hole in 1, and Benji and my son and I and my daughter, we played last night, and now he's got an invisible hole in 1 too. So
I'm still searching for my first.
Bro, next time, just tee out that invisible, believe in yourself, and then watch it happen. And then coincidentally, I'm telling you, very next hole, hit the flag stick, and I was on it, the flag stick, the next 4 or 5 holes. So that whole power of your mentality and what you believe and what you're telling yourself, that episode with Peter is a phenomenal one.
Love it. That's great. Can't wait.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's let Sean eat his dinner before his wife gets mad at him.
Well, everyone's going to eat dinner. It's that time of night.
He's not allowed to come visit you boys down in Seattle.
Great.
I can't wait to see you guys. I'm very excited for Saturday.
Nice. Yeah, we got to get Brian out here someday. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It's a long way for me, but Chambers Bay sounds like it could be worth a flight.
Aaron Hills.
Indeed, yeah.
Brian, where are you in Florida?
I live in Daytona Beach.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I'll be in Miami in February, so.
Okay, that's not that far.
Cool.
No.
All right, romance is brewing.
Hit me up.
Love it.
I'm always down.
Yeah.
I'm a Midwestern boy at heart too. That's where I grew up in Michigan, but
Nice.
on the other side of the state, Grand Rapids.
Oh, I've lived a year in Grand Rapids, so.
It's a beer city, USA. They don't care about
Yes,
coffee,
sir.
but we have high quality craft beer there.
All you guys living all over the place. I've never left this city. Jeez.
Well, I've never
Come to
traveled as
Edmonton
far
one
as
day.
you have for golf, so good on you. Yeah.
It's about the only thing I travel for.
Sweet.
And loud music. All right, let's land this airplane, Sean.
Let's land this airplane. All right, boys. We'll see you Saturday.
Yeah.
See you soon, brother.
See ya.
Bye.
Have a good night. I like those guys.
They're awesome. I mean, my favorite part is I just sent him an email and I thought, what the hell? What are they going to tell me? No.
No.
I think there's times in our lives where we psych ourselves out of doing the things that we know we should or could do. And if he wouldn't have been brave enough to just email the golf course and go, here's what we want to do,
Yeah, they're just going to say no, and then they're going to scan your email for the next time that you send them weird things. But
yeah.
I mean, Chambers Bay of all places, I'm surprised that they would say yes the first time.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like Chambers Bay U.S. Open course letting 120 people on to, do unimaginable things. But I mean, like I said, the course, when I played it the next day, you could hardly tell that there was anybody there. So
that's impressive.
Yeah.
We have reached out to Gary Player, but his people have yet to respond to us.
Gary.
I know. Come on.
There's a couple people we want.
Gary.
There's a couple
the
people we
internet
want.
is
We
listening
want
to the podcast.
We want Gary Player. We want Liz Breed.
Yeah.
I want to get a hold of some of the guys from Aaron Hills. I'd like to get a talk. I would like to get Chris.
Yeah.
The bucket hat guy.
I like
Chris
him.
Valencia, I think was his last name.
All right.
I'd like
we'll do some digging. Yeah, because we're ironing out the details with Matt, so that'll put us at 3.
Matt Gamble from Breaking St. Andrews.
Yeah, that'll put us at 3 breaking people, but we're getting after it. And just I think too, like 2 things, everybody. I hope you watched your homework and you watched the DC video and you went to Movember Foundation. This week's homework is suggest some other people that you'd love us to talk to, and go on Apple or Spotify, give us the review, be honest with us. I mean, we'd like you to be honest if it's nice, but tell us what we could improve upon. And that's your homework for the week.
Easy. I mean, it's back to school week, so
Yeah.
At
Well,
least
we've been back to
for
school for a
us.
couple weeks here in Florida. We get after it early.
So like my kid went back on Thursday, Friday, and then you're off for Sunday, Monday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then you're back on Tuesday. Like,
Do you guys have Labor Day too up here
yep,
up there? It
yep,
coincides. We have Labor Day the same.
yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Neither did I. I don't pay attention to holidays anymore.
Look at us. Like I know so much more about Canada now than I
Yep,
used to. You have Labor Day, and you play golf in yards.
we do play golf. You've never known that we played in yards,
I
eh?
didn't. I figured it was meters. I don't know why would I know that, Sean.
I don't know. I
I mean,
just
I figure you.
assumed. I just assumed it was a thing you knew.
Yeah. I mean, you're always in these weird temperatures and kilometers per hour and all this other stuff. I would have just assumed that.
See, I
I mean, I
figured
guess it makes
Americans
sense
would be
from a.
able to math out the degrees easier. I thought you guys would be able to just be like, oh, the guy's talking 30 degrees. Oh, I
I
know
know.
that's like 90 plus.
I feel like there's a part of me where early on in this podcast, I was like, I should learn when Sean is telling me this temperature so that I know what it is exactly. But I knew when you said 30 that was close to 90, but I should just learn it so I know it. Because like I know kilograms to pounds really well, but
Yeah.
that's the one system. Also, I think it's funny because like the whole metric system is so much easier than what we use because there's no standardization. But then when we learn metrics, we're like, this thing's stupid. I don't want to learn this.
Yeah. I don't know. Everyone does things different. We
Yeah.
pick and choose when we want to use different measurements because, like, yeah, we use yards for golf, but then like other things will measure in feet. We use pounds, not kilograms for most things. Like our driver's license is in centimeters, not, foot and inches, stuff like that. But like if you were to ask somebody, how far is this drive from Edmonton to Toronto? They're not going to tell you it's 2,000 kilometers. They're going to tell you it's approximately 3 days, something like that.
Right.
So we're just different in all sorts of fashions.
Is it really that far of a drive?
Maybe not that far, but I would say probably 1,500 kilometers
Okay.
from Edmonton to Toronto. So that'd be like driving from Florida to probably the middle of Texas.
Okay. Well, so yeah, I don't know. I don't want to. It's 9:00 East Coast time, and I'm tired.
You don't want to math that math?
No, I don't want to. The only way that I think about it is like I know kilometers because of running ultra marathons and like 5Ks. So I know that 50 kilometers is 30.1 miles. I know that. And then I kind of can extrapolate that out based upon having run that far.
That was the one thing, like driving in the States is like when you're getting close to something, you're getting excited. There's a thing in kilometers is that the number shrinks really quickly. But in miles, it takes a lot longer for it to say 20 miles to your destination. Then it's like 6 hours goes by and it says 18 miles to your destination. I'm like, I've been driving forever. I want to get there now. Kilometers, It's just like it's 20, 16, 10, 2, you're there. Boom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's relative to just, what you're used to, but
yeah,
it's all the same.
Also,
you're just
feels
driving.
like you're going really fast. In like,
yeah, your speeds are different from ours only because like when you have 50 miles an hour, it's like 38 or something weird.
The first time I ever drove, no, that's not right. So I've lived in Florida basically my whole entire life. And I went to Toronto 2 Januaries ago and landed around midnight in a blizzard. And this was the first time that I like legitimately had to drive through a snowstorm and got a rental car and at Toronto airport and then had to drive 45 minutes to the west on whatever major highway that is. And I remember landed the car, got to rental car, got everything in. And then I Googled, how do I drive in the snow?
You just drive. I mean, you just got to hope to God that they put the right tires on and put them in the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with snow tires is if they're facing the wrong way, then you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Everything was good. They asked me, they're like, would you like to get the extra insurance? And I was like, yes, please. I certainly would.
Doesn't hurt.
I've never been so glad to like turn a car back in not damaged, because and it was January. I mean, it was freezing.
So you're just jumping in both feet right there.
Right. Yeah, I
Not
did.
dipping your toes in.
I jumped out of an airplane.
Yeah, this will be my first time renting a car, so we'll see what happens.
This one?
Yeah. I've never rented one before.
Oh.
I wasn't going to drive this time. It's a good drive, but I mean, it's a long drive. Because last year when we went, I drove all the way home in one shot, 13 hours. It was a long day.
I guess there's a perception, like I know where you live. I just never realized that it's that.
Well, if you go in a straight line, it's not that bad. But with the mountains, you've got to do, up and down, and around in circles and loop-de-loops and whatnot. So it adds extra time.
Yeah.
But in a straight line, it's probably closer to like an 8-hour drive.
Okay.
But
that makes a lot more sense.
You know how it is with our Canadian roads. And also we can't go very fast on them either.
Yeah. We don't have that problem in Florida. People, first of all, if you go on I-4, which is the major like east-west thoroughfare or in between Daytona and Tampa, people are going like 147 miles per hour with ball tires in the rain. It just absolutely, like it's a racetrack.
Yeah, the fastest you can legally go here is 120 kilometers. So that's, I don't know what that is in miles, but I think that's what, just
70.
Is it that slow?
I don't know. I'm American.
See, that's a math I can't do. Is I can't figure out miles to kilometers. Let's see here. 120 kilometers to miles. 74. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the fastest road in Canada is 74. So, but I mean, you got to
faster than us. I mean, most every highway is 70 here, so you got us by a little bit.
Really, I imagine you guys would just be able to floor it because you got flat roads and no snow.
Well, I mean, legally.
And well, yeah, people don't driver, trust me. In the wintertime, going between Edmonton and Calgary, I've had people go by me at 160, so it's not uncommon.
That's insane.
But you see some really nice accidents on the way.
Yeah,
it's true.
All right. Well, you travel safe this week. I'll be excited to see lots of videos.
I'll send you what I can so you can post it on the Insta.
Yeah, and your battle between, you got to try to, I don't know who to root for, if I'm rooting for America or if I'm rooting for
You're
Canada.
Rooting for Sean.
Okay, that's true. I do want Sean to win. That's one of my favorite things is when, like, in college football, when the Tigers are playing, like Clemson Tigers are playing LSU Tigers, I would go to my wife, I go like, I'll bet you $50 the Tigers are going to win.
And then she rolls her eyes at you like dad jokes. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah. So I bet you one of the Seans is going to win this week.
Yes, I 100%. There's your lock. If anybody's doing any betting this week, 100% bet on Sean.
My handicap right now, since I've been playing poorly the last couple of days, more of the rounds, it's up to a 4.5. I think American Sean's at a 13. I was planning on playing the tips. I don't know where he's planning on playing. I don't know how the averages work out on handicap, but what do I do? Do I just give him like 10 shots?
That's fair. I mean, he's got a little bit of local course knowledge.
He's better than his handicap suggests, though, because I've seen him play and he hits it pretty well. So maybe he just doesn't have the distance. I do remember when I did play Scramble last year with him, I swing about twice as fast as he does. He's not very fast, so I think that's about all I've got on him is like distance. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm excited though.
It'll be fun.
And
maybe
then
maybe 8 seems sporting. You should just do some kind of conversion about like, well, 10 isn't really 8 in Canada because of metrics and kilometers per hour and Fahrenheit, Celsius. So
I'll use the exchange rate because it's 75 cents for every Canadian dollar. So I'll use the exchange rate. So I'll give him 8.4.
Yeah,
that seems fair. Yeah, and I think next week on Tuesday when we come back to this, I'll break down the scramble, and that could be what we discuss next week.
Okay, and then maybe we'll sneak in. We'll do half of that, and then we can interview Benji on how to take your dad golfing.
Deal.
All right.
That sounds like a good one for next week.
Episode 12. All right. Later, everybody.
Thank you for listening once again. We love you all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.